If you disagree or have more knowledge than me, we welcome you to write to TC Mission.
Or me. If you have more knowledge than me, write to us.
Yes.
Follow us on our website, www.transitionalchangesmission.wordpress.com. You can always learn something new every day.
And knowledge is food. So with a clock on the wall, a circle clock, perfect circle. It has the numbers inside of it. Got two, little hand and big hand. Time repeats going over those numbers 24 hours a day for as long as that energy can last in that clock. Reason why I said that, before I go into some more history, the saying is, time do not do nothing but repeats itself.
So we're going to take a break and we'll come back. If you are liking our show, follow us, share us, like us, visit our Facebook page, Transitional Changes Mission. Love us. We love you.
And subscribe to us on YouTube. Type in Transitional Changes Mission. Our show should appear with all the episodes. And you can subscribe to that, follow us on all the podcast apps and social media. But thank you for listening to the Transitional Changes Mission podcast show. And we hope that we got you turning that mind. That's the whole objective. Listen to this calm music and relax.
We'll be back.
It's Baltic out, so wrap up warm and get winter ready with Halls. Gentle soothing with Halls Soothers and clearing mental action with Halls Mentholyptus will help you to get on and enjoy your day. Help is at hand this winter with Halls.
People don't become successful by accident. You've got to know what you want. So take off your shoes. Sit down. Reach no further than your tablet. Type in SCODA and you've won. Smile about doing less while some other guy is doing loads. Yawn like you've never yawned before. Smile again about the offers from 0%. Then configure your perfect car and fill out the easy online finance application. It's never been easier to be successful. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit skoda.ie for further information.
Hello. Welcome back to Transitional Changes Mission podcast show. This is your host, Queen Summers.
And your host, King Summers.
Now, King Summers left us off in the storyline about the smallpox, was it?
Well, with what we got going on now, we might have been able to, because they did give a vaccine and answer to smallpox.
Okay.
But I didn't. I was talking about how time repeats itself. Just to get you to start the comparing about the history and what you should read and learn upon about how similar these two viruses and things that was going on at that time.
And thank you so much for listening to our show. If this is your first time, take a look around on our website at www.transitionalchangesmission.wordpress.com.
So what I was explaining, how time repeats itself, when I read it, made me say, whoa, okay. So we left off at the soldiers coming back, doing community spread, starting to go global, and Spanish flu was starting to cause They said about a third of the population was deceased by this. So when it started spreading in this nation and pretty sure across the world, they started to enforce the same scenario types of things that we are doing now.
So what was the solution? What was
it wasn't the solution. It was a cause to try to slow the spread down. What they said now, I'm not talking about 1918, but that's what they said. They said the same thing in 1918 that they said now. They said do social distance, wear a mask.
They said wear a mask?
Yes, they was using the medical leftovers from the war, which was masks or, chemicals that was in the war to give out to the citizens and promote. They even said that they started fining people, threatening them to go to jail and things similar. Yes. But from there, they started doing that and it still was spreading. In fact, as the scientists researched, it went to a phase 2. Now, thank the Creator for what has the second stage of the Spanish flu. We pray do not happen with the second wave of coronavirus. The second wave of Spanish flu in 1918 came. It caused people to become deceased within less than a week or even up to 4 hours of being infected.
Wow.
So that caused even more panic. There's 2 main words out of this that I want you to write down in your mind and remember. World War I was going on. I asked my people, is a war a good time? What is the emotions going on through the wars that you have been through in this modern time? Even if you had kids that went off or you was involved or even the media. When war, to me, is a negative emotion.
And you see, most of us want to be kind. We hope to do good things. We want people to smile, know they're seen, loved, valuable. We desire to connect with other humans, but just because we want those things and love hearing about them doesn't mean we do them. What we usually aren't missing is the lack of desire. We've got that going for us, but to do random acts of kindness, we have to overcome some barriers. My apologies if you don't want me to mention this blaring fact, but most of us aren't in tune to those around us because we are so focused on our own lives. Therefore, should we really be surprised that we don't receive many acts of kindness ourselves when so few people are other-centered, let alone other-centered in a pure way with healthy boundaries, even rarer? Lack of margin is the primary reason most people don't make the difference in the world they want to make. But we can't just play victim all the time to our busy lives, in-depth status, or energy-drained selves. Sure, some of this we can't help, but these are all areas we can become proactive in creating margin in. If you aren't sure how to do that, continue your 2021 following us on our blog, Transitional Changes Mission.wordpress.com. We'll have many great exercises you can do in your spare time to get your margins in order.
Because we need this act of kindness, which is the definition of good, positive energy. So I'm going to continue to remind you of history and comparison. They said that the Spanish flu started hitting communities and people was dropping like flies. I mean, it was a large population. They say 1/3 of the population of the earth at that time was becoming wiped out. So with that said, we got war was forced to be ended. That is a huge point in what I'm about to compare this to, because that was the end of the negative. Things weren't emotionally attached yet, because the second fear thing that came upon us was death. So with the acts of death coming to anybody, of you hearing or what they are promoting on the media now, is fear. Fear will have a person move out of their seat. Will have them look at CNN, the news, local news, anything.
The newspaper.
Driving themselves basically crazy. with negative emotions. Emotions at that time was the ending of a war. People still sorrowing over the people that wasn't coming back, or people coming back that was going with the infection. Then they hear Theodore Roosevelt catch the Spanish flu. Compared Donald Trump. Caught the coronavirus.
Right.
So
Here
we go.
What did they give Mr. Roosevelt?
At that time, so much fear was going on. You have a large, now remind you, at that time, it was less population than it is now, smaller communities, less technology, all that plays a part of the spread negativity. So when that negativity came from Theodore Roosevelt pronouncing that, people was going historical. Mind you that a government, companies get paid during peaceful times to come up with solutions. While you enjoying working, economy doing good, there are billions and trillions of dollars continuing to be researched with items that has caused pandemics or things that can get improved with technology for 24/7. That's why I give respect to
all the scientists, the researchers.
Yes.
Everybody who takes their time out and go the extra mile.
Yes.
For humankind. We thank you all.
Yes. And during the pandemic, they already was going hard when the pandemic hit. Imagine
going into overdrive.
Yes, the people that they work for that has paid them billions of dollars, they coming at it with them, especially with death going around. They said we need an ounce. And at that time, mind you, technology wasn't out, but doctors was working 24/7, just like they are now. But you know what they came up with? They killed a lot more people. Aspirins. They passed out aspirins because at that time, so much historical panic was going through. I say, in my opinion, or what I have read, they said they passed out aspirin. And they also said these aspirins caused a lot of more deaths. This is going into the 1919, after 1 year. Like I said, it's all these steps. War ending, pandemic, calming down from the war, then the pandemic, hitting the government and governments, people overcoming hills. Then, what I read, the sun came out. Basically, people started fighting back, seeing that the aspirins that doctors prescribe or knowledge from everybody, probably some rich crowd or whoever came up with something, it didn't work, it didn't solve it, so people started returning to their cells, which I will elaborate on a little bit, but I got an episode coming up on this, and that is the show about energy. They reverted their energy towards themselves.
It shouldn't surprise you either to know that unless you choose in advance what direction your life is going to go in, everything else will sway you off course. To do the Kindness Project, we had to plan on our road trips out in the world to do at least 3 random acts of kindness before making it back to the home front. Some days we were successful, some days not so much. Every day we tried. Oh, and don't worry, I have a whole post coming up on our blog about how to make a plan to do random acts of kindness intentionally. Fear might be the first hindrance that comes to your mind of things keeping us from practicing random acts of kindness. But I wanted you to see it near not living intentionally. Why? Living intentionally is a solution to overcoming this type of fear and act bravely. The fear of doing something different, be perceived as strange, or be rejected doesn't necessarily ever go away. Intentionally and commitment is part of the solution. You do kindness scared. Procrastination is something we often do because we are either afraid or because we forget. These are things we overcome with intentionality, commitment, and plan, as well as accountability. But another reason we might procrastinate is because we want to do it with perfection. Sometimes great is the enemy of good, though. And this reason most people won't do any random act of kindness daily is because we don't think just doing a little bit is worth it. Maybe we feel overwhelmed with all of the ideas, and it makes it hard to see value in doing just one of them. Why do we feel shame in doing something free? Something